Hello and welcome to another episode of Full Pass. Today we will be dealing with the topic spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis, right? Okay, so we had done two videos prior to this on general embryology, and the first video we had discussed about the first and second week of embryogenesis, while in the second week we talked about trophoblastic differentiation. On the first video I had mentioned that there are something called as the primordial germ cells, right? The primordial germ cells, we'll call them PGCs, PGC for short. Okay, now these are the cells that they are actually formed from your epiblast. If you don't know what epiblast is, please do refer to that video that was made on first and second week of embryogenesis. The link for the same is given in the description box below, right? So the epiblast during the second week of embryogenesis gives rise to your primordial, it gives rise to the primordial germ cells, and these primordial germ cells will then migrate to your yolk sac. Okay, they travel to the wall of the yolk sac. Okay, and from there, during the fifth week of embryogenesis, they will migrate back, or not back, they will migrate to your genital ridge. Okay, they'll migrate to something called as the genital ridge, which is going to be the future gonad. Now in a male embryo, the PGC, the primordial germ cells that have migrated to the genital ridge, they are going to be what is called as your spermatogonium. Okay, spermatogonium, and this is what you need to know when you are starting to learn about spermatogenesis. Clear? The spermatogonium. So the spermatogonium are actually cells. Okay, they are actually stem cells, and they actually when we start the process of spermatogenesis, okay, when does the process of spermatogenesis begin? Okay, the spermatogenesis actually begins with puberty, right? It begins with puberty, and of course it can extend late up to the age of 60s or 70s in a male, right? Some till the end of life too. So the thing is, it starts only with puberty. Unlike in oogenesis, which we will be discussing later in another video, spermatogenesis begins only with puberty. That's a point number one that you need to remember. Clear? Okay, so what about these spermatogonium? Where are they present? The spermatogonium are actually, all of these process of spermatogenesis, it's actually taking place within the seminiferous tubules, right? It's taking place within where? They are taking place within the seminiferous tubules. Okay, this is where it takes place. Now we'll actually move on to the process of spermatogenesis. This was just a brief introduction, right? So you have what is called as your spermatogonium. Most of the textbooks, they say that the spermatogonium undergoes mitotic division. Okay, it undergoes mitotic division. Okay, it undergoes mitotic division to give rise to primary, which I am going to be writing as this symbol. Okay, primary spermatocyte. Now because it is a mitotic division, the ploidy is of course 2n. Okay, spermatogonium is also having 2n. Okay, a pair of chromosomes for each are present. Okay, so this is what our textbooks mostly tell us, but it is for our interest, it's better you know what are the different types of spermatogonium that are present, right? So spermatogonium as a cell, spermatogonium there are actually three classes of spermatogonium, I can say, right? There are two types, of course, and three variants are there. You have type A spermatogonium, and you have type B spermatogonium. So what is the difference is that this type A spermatogonium, again you can divide it based upon the nucleus, whether it appears pale, whether the nucleus on microscope appears pale or it appears dark. Those cells that appear dark, these are the reserve cells. These are the reserve cells. I'm talking about spermatogonium here. I'm talking about spermatogonium here. There are two types of spermatogonium, and in that type A there are pale as well as dark variants. The dark ones are reserve cells. They actually do not undergo active mitosis. So mitosis here you won't see. They are actually reserve cells. Now it is these pale cells, those with their nucleus appearing pale, that undergoes mitosis. They undergo mitosis. And what do they give rise to after serial episodes of mitosis? They give rise to type B spermatogonium. Clear? And it is this type B spermatogonium which again undergoes mitosis to form a primary spermatocyte. So this is the first step that you need to know in spermatogenesis. That is how a spermatogonium becomes a primary spermatocyte. I hope it's clear. Now how many cycles of mitotic division? There are roughly about 5 to 7 cycles of mitotic division occurs before a spermatogonium becomes a primary spermatocyte. I hope that much is clear. Now the second step that occurs, that is the primary spermatocyte. The primary spermatocyte is going to become secondary. I'm going to represent secondary like this. This is secondary. This stands for secondary. Clear? This is secondary spermatocyte. And this is actually a process of meiotic division. It is actually meiosis 1. Clear? Meiosis 1. This is a secondary spermatocyte. So here it was diploid, and after meiosis 1 you have haploid. So secondary spermatocytes are haploid. Clear? They have only 23 chromosomes, 22 autosomes and 1 sex chromosome, which means that they are either 22X or 22Y. Now what does this tell us? It is at the stage of secondary spermatocyte that we can actually ascertain the sex of a particular future progeny. I hope that is clear, because from this stage on it is either 22X or it is 22Y. I hope it's clear. So this process by which the primary spermatocyte becomes the secondary spermatocyte is where your X and Y chromosomes are separated. So this is where the X and Y chromosomes are separated. Clear? And this is also where you call it as independent assortment of sex chromosomes. Clear? This is where independent assortment of sex chromosome occurs at this stage, and it roughly takes about 22 days. This process by which the primary spermatocyte becomes a secondary spermatocyte, it takes roughly 22 days. So what have we discussed till now? We have discussed how the spermatogonium becomes the primary spermatocyte, and from that how it becomes your secondary spermatocyte. Clear? And now the secondary spermatocyte, I'm just representing it like this. Okay, the secondary spermatocyte needs to complete its meiotic division. So meiosis 2 occurs. Clear? So meiosis 2 is actually a division that is just like your mitosis. Okay, it just doubles the number of cells. It will lead to formation of a spermatid. A spermatid is also haploid. Okay, I hope this much is clear. So this is the next step. You have your first step, that was spermatogonium, which had become your primary spermatocyte, and from primary spermatocyte you have formation of secondary spermatocyte by meiosis 1, and secondary spermatocyte becomes spermatid by meiosis 2. I hope this much is clear. Okay. Now in all these cells, you will note that the cells will appear somewhat like this. Okay, this is, suppose this is a spermatogonium that I've just drawn. Okay, it's going to become, again it's going to become two cells like this. Okay, this is not exactly so, I'll tell you why very soon, because this is, if I'm telling that this is a spermatogonium, it is actually going to give rise to 5 to 7 mitotic cycle, not just one. I'm just drawn a single mitotic division. Okay, so a spermatogonium that has given rise to primary spermatocyte, I'm just representing it like this. Okay, again these cells are going to give rise to 4 cells, right? Clear? Secondary, and this is again going to give rise to, secondary spermatocyte is going to lead to formation of what? Spermatids. Spermatids also appear like this. So because there is 4, there is going to be 8, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Clear? So it actually multiplies every time it divides, like this. So these are the spermatids, but you know that the shape of a sperm is not like this. It's not a cell like this. Okay, we have a cell like this, which is going to form a sperm that is somewhat going to look like this, right? Okay, this is somewhat gonna look like this. Okay, so what is actually happening in this process? This is actually the process of spermiogenesis. Clear? Spermiogenesis. So spermiogenesis is actually the process by which your spermatid, which is again haploid, becomes a spermatozoa. Spermatozoa. Clear? Spermiogenesis, it's also known as spermateliosis. Clear? It's also called as spermateliosis. So this is actually the process by which your spermatid becomes the spermatozoa. Clear? And what and all happens during this process, that also we'll discuss. So a spermatid is just your normal cell, just a regular cell, a haploid cell, of course. Okay, this is a spermatid. What and all do they have, these cells? They will have a nucleus, of course, right? They will have of course they'll have cytoplasm, but that's not worth mentioning. You have your Golgi apparatus, and you will have your centriole, right? And of course you have the mitochondria. Like any other cell, they'll have all these things, right? Mitochondria. So when they become a spermatozoa, all these things become different things. That is what I wanted to mention. So if I'm going to draw a spermatozoa right here, okay, Golgi apparatus, I'll ascertain a particular color. See, okay, suppose like this. Okay, I need to mention to my viewers that I'm not a good artist, but I hope I'm able to get the message clear, right? So this is actually your Golgi apparatus here. What has it become? It has become the acrosomal cap. Acrosomal cap. And of course your nucleus, which we already drew in blue. Here I'm just okay. This is your nucleus. Clear? It forms the head of the sperm. Okay, then you have the neck of the sperm, and the neck of the sperm you have a funnel shaped structure like this. Okay, somewhat like this, funnel shaped structure. We call it the basal body. Okay, we call it the basal body. Now some people believe that the basal body comes from the centrioles, okay, but some other people believe that centrioles, of course, centrioles give rise to other things, like what? Like this thing here. This is actually a spherical centriole that is seen in the neck of the sperm. Okay, there's a spherical centriole and something else also. Centriole gives rise to this spherical centriole, and some people believe it gives rise to basal body, but it has got another function. We'll soon see that. The next part is of course the middle piece. Okay, the middle piece here that I drew here. Okay, this is actually a spiral sheath of mitochondria. So this is actually the mitochondria that is forming the covering over the, it's actually a spiral sheath of mitochondria, and within this part, what is this part? This is actually the middle piece. Okay, this part is called as the middle piece. Middle piece. Okay, in the center you have something which is going on like this. Okay, it extends into the tail, a large part of the tail. Clear? So what is this? This is actually the axial filament. Okay, and it's believed to believed to be formed from your centriole. Clear? It's believed to have developed from the centriole, and between the junction of the middle piece as well as the tail of the sperm, you have got something, annular ring is there. What do you call that part? That is called as the annulus. Okay, there is an annular ring like part here, the annulus, which is also believed to have formed from the centriole. So you have the nucleus which forms the head of the sperm. You have the Golgi apparatus which forms its covering, the acrosomal cap. You have the centriole, which some people believe gives rise to the funnel shaped part of the neck called as the basal body, while others believe that it forms something which is called as the annulus, right? While the mitochondria, it gives rise to this sheath, a spiral sheath that is seen along the middle piece of the sperm. Clear? So this process by which your spermatid becomes a spermatozoa, that is spermiogenesis. It's also called as spermateleogenesis. I hope this much is clear. Right. Next, where does this takes place? We already mentioned that it takes place within your seminiferous tubules. So if I am to draw a seminiferous tubule, if I am to draw a lumen here, okay, if I am to draw a circular lumen like this, okay, suppose I am going to draw certain cells like this. Some cells are there like this. Just I am going to draw two cells only, but you need to imagine that these cells are present throughout. Okay, two cells like this, and these cells are going to have certain appendages. Clear? These cells are going to have certain appendages like this. It's there everywhere. Okay, like this. Now these appendages, they are going to have tight junctions in between them. Okay, so what has actually happened? Okay, between these cells we have different compartments that are formed due to the tight junctions that are present in between, right? This is a tight junction, this is another tight junction, another tight junction, and so on. Clear? It's between these two cells. And where are these cells present? They are present within your seminiferous tubules. Hope it's clear. Now what are these cells? These cells are called as your supporting cells. they're called as your supporting cells. They are also called as your sustentacular cells. Sustentacular cells, or they are also called as Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells. Clear? So these cells have got these tight junctions in between them, which are going to compartmentalize the area that is available within your seminiferous tubules. And within each compartment you have each stages of development of your spermatogonium occurring, spermatogonium to spermatozoa occurring. I hope it's clear, right? For example, if I am just going to draw something like this, okay, I've just drawn one part of it, okay, like this. Okay, two Sertoli cells. Imagine these are two Sertoli cells. I have my spermatogonium here, which I am representing in this color here in this compartment, right? And they're going to develop further. They're going to form something else. They're going to be seen in this compartment. That is your primary spermatocyte. Clear? In the next stage, secondary spermatocyte will be seen here in this compartment. Okay, and as it moves, so the spermatogenesis process takes place, okay, it is moving closer towards the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. So this is the lumen. It is moving closer and closer to the lumen of the seminiferous tubule. This is the direction of movement during the process of spermatogenesis. And ultimately you will have your spermatozoa. Okay, and the spermatozoa are actually found adherent to the Sertoli cells. Okay, they are not loosely bound. Okay, they are not free. The spermatozoa are not free during the process of spermatogenesis. Clear? So there is actually a process by which the spermatozoa are released. Excuse me. The spermatozoa are released by a process which is called as spermiation. Is that clear? This is the process of spermiation. That is, the spermatozoa which were adherent to the Sertoli cells are released into the lumen of the seminiferous tubules by the process of spermiation. I hope it's clear. And what happens when they are released into the lumen of the seminiferous tubules? They will move from there with the help of currents to epididymis. Right? They'll move to epididymis. And so what will be the function of epididymis? It's got three main functions. This is actually the site of storage of spermatozoa. Up to how long can it be stored? It can be stored up to 3 months. Up to 3 months, certain books say. Clear? And this is the stage where the spermatozoa starts to mature. Okay, maturation is not complete. I'm just saying that it is maturation process is beginning within the epididymis, and it is also the place where they start getting motility. Again, the sperm is not completely motile after exiting this epididymis also, but it begins to become motile as it reaches the epididymis. I hope it's clear. The final stage of maturation, it actually occurs by a process called as capacitation. Clear? Capacitation, we'll discuss it later when we discuss about fertilization in detail, but this is actually the final stage of maturation of the sperm. I hope that is clear. Clear? Okay, so how long can the epididymis store this? I've mentioned it can store up to 3 months. And also, as the sperm moves through this epididymis, it can take up to 12 days. Clear? It can take up to 12 days to move through this epididymis. Okay. Now about the time that is taken for spermatogenesis, we've already seen one of the steps takes 22 days. Which was that step? It was this step where the primary spermatocyte becomes secondary spermatocyte. Okay, and after that you have the secondary spermatocyte to spermatid. This actually occurs within a few hours itself. The meiosis 2 occurs within a few hours itself, but the total time taken for spermatogenesis completely, that is from your stage of spermatogonium to the stage of spermatozoa, it takes about 72 to 74 days. It's better you go for 74 days as an option if you are asked for some competitive examination. 74 days, that is the commonly accepted answer. Clear? And how many spermatozoa, okay, please listen carefully, how many spermatozoa are formed from a single spermatocyte? What spermatocyte you should ask me? Primary spermatocyte. So primary spermatocyte gives rise to how many spermatozoa? The answer is 4. How is that? Because one primary spermatozoa is going to give rise to 2 secondary spermatozoa, and 2 secondary spermatozoa is going to give rise to 4 spermatids. And from spermatid there is no further division, they just undergo a morphological change to become your 4 spermatozoa. Hope it's clear. But if I change the question to how many spermatozoa can be formed from one spermatogonium, that is your primary germ cell, spermatogonium, the answer will differ, because I mentioned that the spermatogonium undergoes about 5 to 7 cycles of spermatogenesis. Clear? 5 to 7 cycles. So that means your answer would be 64 to 512 spermatids, or the spermatozoa can be formed from one single spermatogonium. So this is actually the process of spermatogenesis in detail that we have mentioned today. Okay, this is a process that takes place or starts only from puberty. This is in contrast to oogenesis, where the actual process begins even before the birth of the fetus, right? So in spermatogenesis, the process begins with your puberty. You have the spermatogonial which are going to give rise to your primary spermatocyte, okay, which is a mitotic division, and from primary spermatocyte there is secondary spermatocyte formation, which is a meiotic division, and from secondary spermatocyte you have the spermatids formed, and the spermatids which are going to give rise to spermatozoa by a process of spermiogenesis. And finally the spermatozoa are freed or released into the lumen of the seminiferous tubules by the process of spermiation, and from the seminiferous tubules they move to the epididymis, where they are stored, matured, and they get their motility. And from the epididymis, of course, they move further, and that we'll discuss when we discuss about fertilization. I hope it's clear. If you have any doubts, please mention in the comment section below. Thank you very much.